Hello and welcome everyone, this is Blackadder at the RTS League channel and we are here with second match today and it's going to be between Train Improve Conqueror TIC and their opponents from Fratres Fenifidi, aka Weljet, the team from Finland. So we are almost ready to start, so let's just put off everything in here and we are started in the game itself, so I'm just going to be turning off the music of course. And letting Mango join with me as he's going to be co-casting this match. So welcome Mango if you are already on.
Yeah, hello.
And we are looking at the first map that is going to be the home map of TIC or TIC. That's probably going to be easier to pronounce for everybody in here. And it is Arabia, which is kind of expected because TICs should be the high level players in here. Basically you are looking at players. Unfortunately, they haven't changed their nicknames yet, as they are supposed to do, and I have talked to them about that. But so that you know who the players actually are, these are former RCLs. Vasikovska, that's Visepi, aka RCL Alyosha, and right now I don't know which one is which, but I think that Elephant Talk is Blitzkrieg, RCL Blitzkrieg, or Noisik, I think is another nick of his, and Duraznito, that's White Court. RCL White Court, so that should be the strongest player. He's almost 2k or something like that. So about 1900 level team. They are something like 1850 to 2k. As for the opponent, we are looking at Jupe, of course, or rather Epui, Epush. That's Jupe. And Sampa, not exactly sure, that's probably going to be the main deck. And Kalilatiko is, if I remember correctly, that should be Ruben Stock. So 2k player right there. So pretty high level matchup today, as we are having a bit of a pause apparently. And the civilizations are going to be Mongols, Huns, Mayans for both of these teams. So pretty much a mirror in here. So do you have some kind of idea what we could be expecting from these civilizations? They are pretty much standard, so maybe based on the pocket positions of the teams.
Yeah, well, the pocket player for TIC team is Mayans. So it's kind of expected he will go FC Plumet Archers, but he could also go something else. Let's see. But most likely he will go Plumet Archers, and he's playing against Hans. So let's see. It could be interesting clash between Plumets and Knights on the middle field of the battleground.
That definitely could be. I'm just going to be checking out of the game if maybe there is something more going on with them. Or if it's just some extended pause. Yeah, it probably is. So I'm just going to be using this time to... Ah, yeah, they are actually asking me about something. So let's wait. That probably is going to be some kind of issue or whatnot. Ah, they're asking about restart. Well, not. RTS League doesn't have restart unless you are having some major map skew.
About that purple player, Sampa, yeah, I think it's a pretty new player. I've seen him, he was like 1500 not long ago, but he's improving fast, it seems. He reached like 1750 level a few weeks ago. So I think it's a new talent for the Finland team.
Alright, so it seems like that it was just basically paused because of some kind of veto, and it was asked by Elephant Talk. So let's actually have a look at his map. What do you think could be the reason for actually TYC to be calling for a re?
Well, I don't see anything wrong with this map. He just got 2 forward bars, but there's nothing else, really.
Duraznito, he is seeming... Well, they are having kind of difficult second gold. It's in the forest for both the teal player and for the green one. That might be... Ah, the back gold is a bit sucky for Duraznito. If you have a look right next to the side of the map.
Yeah, I see, but it's still accessible. I think it's like
it's
not
reasonably
trapped,
okay,
you know.
especially...
It's not ideal, but it's part of the game, if you ask me.
I think it's borderline, to be honest. It's quite close to being unfair. But I would also kind of think that it's reasonable. They are not really complaining about it all that much. So they probably just thought, why not give it a shot? So they're not really all that unhappy, I think, Just going to be quite fine going with the gold and such. Yeah.
From my own experience, I've already played with much worse maps.
Yeah, and the stone is, well, the stone is not really all that ideal for him on the right side.
Yeah,
Where is
the
actually,
stone is actually much worse than his gold path because it's barely accessible, right? Just two
but the
tiles.
second one is alright. And since he's in the pocket, he shouldn't be having all that much of a problem gathering from it. The second one is at the top of his base, between him and Elephant Talk, so that's pretty much okay. And he should be running out of, or rather through the woods by the time he needs the second stone. I'm thinking, if he plays it correctly, he shouldn't be having any kind of problems with either of the gold mine or the stone mine being surrounded by the forest, I'm thinking. He just needs to gather wood at the right spots.
Yep.
So yeah, that's that. That was one of the insights into the rules of RTSD. We are not really running any restarts, and the reason for that is pretty much simple. Because we are having long group stages, like for example this season is going to be 7 rounds. It basically makes up basically by simple statistics. If you are going to be having screw him up one time, there is pretty good opportunity or other chance that other teams are going to be having screw him ups for themselves in other rounds. So basically it equals over the 7 rounds for basically all the teams. There's not much of a reason to be having the rest.
Elephant Talk already lamed a boar from Rubenstock.
That's a deal. Ah, yeah. Right now, and he's actually, did he take it just with the villager? Or was he actually?
He just arrived to his TC with Scout.
Yeah,
And he took the second one with Villager. I cannot see his... Did he already eat one boar? I cannot see his third
one
boar.
carcass. So maybe it was actually stolen from him and he stole something back.
It looks like that. Wasn't paying attention there. I don't see like 3 boar corpses under his TC, just 2.
Well, I don't see any extra free boar for the grey player either. He's having just one that is right now he's working on. I don't see any else in there. So that's going to be probably a bit of a mystery in here. Going to be having to check into the game recording later on, but that's kinda curious in here. So definitely if there was a successful steal, it's going to be helping quite a lot. We're probably going to be seeing potential difference in score between the players and difference in advancing to the next ages, I would be expecting. If something like stolen boar happened, because that's usually a pretty huge blow to the early economy, so we'll be seeing about that. And well, so far, looking at the map, I'm actually looking the position of UPEP close by to Sampa. They are like really close to each other. Like unusually so, to be honest, for Arabia. And that might be actually working for them quite well, because they are very far away from Vasikovska, who is basically on the corner of the map, very far away from his blue opponent. And it might be making things quite easier for defense for Weljet. But of course, looking how UPEP is going for Drush, going to be arriving at this opponent's base very late.
Yeah, well, with UPE's position going Drush now, especially with Mongols, I don't think it's the best idea. He will be walking like 2 minutes to his opponent base, and when he arrives, he will already be in village.
It's kind of curious because he knows exactly how far away his opponent is. He has scouted him. I'm right now looking at the point of view of his. And since Vasikovska is right now advancing already into feudal age, he's going to be arriving with the guys, with the militias, at about the time when he's probably ready with archers, I'll be thinking, as a Han. So yeah, not really good news for him. That's going to be a lot of wasted resources.
Yeah, he will probably go scouts. He has 22 pop. And he's not on gold, so I think he will clean his Drush with scouts.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Much more than the suggested archers, as we have seen them in the last game. We have streamed today between Frantic and BYT on the Arabia, and the blue dudes are almost in, together with the scout right now looking where is going to be what. And the positioning of the barracks is actually quite nice from the yellow player, because he's going to be having very easy access to the spearman and to defend against anything that is going to be coming against him, especially on the wood line, which seems to be basically the only place where the blue player could be attacking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are looking, of course, on the minimap also at quite a decent walling from Elephant Dog. So that's actually a lot of walls from him. He's basically all around, as he's right now basically stopping. Or rather, is he stopping the Drush? Because Grey player is having the militias at the bottom of his base, right now trying to find some way in, and there are unfinished palisades, but they are at least being worked upon, so they are actually not going to be passable. So unfortunately, it's going to be basically double Drush wasted from Weljet, and that's not a good start on Arabia. That's not a good start at all. So
On the other hand, even when he wastes his rush, he still made the teal player wall a lot, and the time he spent on walling and the resources, it basically equals the drush, the resources Rubenstock spent on drush. So I think they are basically in the same position.
yeah, that's actually
But what I
good
really
point.
like is the map for Rubenstock. You got extremely good map. Those 3 forward forests are like natural walling for him. He's just open from the side and he can easily cover it as well.
Yeah, he's already quite nicely working on walling himself naturally by the houses and other buildings, not really having to waste any resources on the palisades, definitely going to help him in the economy. And since he is the Mayans, well, the more he can spend into the army as soon as possible, of course, that better for him and for his team. Right now we are looking at blue and grey are actually at the same spot in Duraznito's base, having a bit of fun with him. The double dash on the pocket player right now. Oh, he should be careful about the wall. Palisade wall on the left is slowly coming down, so he should be tasking one of the villagers already to repair it. So far not really been all that much of a thought like that. And right now he's exactly on time. And there is actually one very tricky tree, or rather, right next to the wall. There is been just 3 wood. So if he isn't careful and his villagers just cut through it, that might be a bit of a surprise for those two, but probably not going to be lasting for much longer. And unfortunately, Duraznito is actually leaving 4 villages just like that without any kind of protection on the left. They were probably hoping to go for the gold at the bottom. And does he actually know about the small gold on the left that is wide open? So, yes, he does. So that's even more curious that he's actually choosing the bit worse gold at the bottom than rather the one open on the left. Be expecting that would be a much more better choice for him.
I feel he doesn't like how forward that gold pile is. By the way, Vasikovska, the yellow player, is raiding Weljet's pocket player. He already picked 1 or 2 villagers and he forced him some idle time. And he might pick a few more wheels on his berries right now.
Yeah, it's exactly looking like that. But Sampa is right now in the Castle Age, and he is the very first one of all the players in here. And even though he is... Oh, actually he is on the pocket player, yeah, right now. A bit of a problem with the minimap. And really fighting, unfortunately he already lost 1 villager, so that wasn't very effective right now from Sampa. Right next to the wood line in there. Was waiting for the spearman. And unfortunately he's just now wasting a lot of time with the villagers walking and not really gathering anything. And kinda curious that he isn't somehow continuing with walling, at least trying to palisade wall himself, because right now he's forced to basically really fight absolutely everything. He has lost just another villager in here, and that's going to be 1 extra. I'm fairly certain it's going to be 3 dead.
Yeah, I think he already lost 5 villagers total.
Yeah, it's looking like that there's another skeleton on the right. So you are quite probably right, and that's actually a pretty big blow. He's right now at 26 villagers, even though Duraznito is at 28, so it's not like the opposing pocket player is that much better off. It's still a pretty big blow to him, especially since he went through Castle Age as the first player. So he is having basically the weakest economy of them all. He's now trying to find a way into the blue space, but blue seems to be quite nicely walled up. Quite condensed base right next to the town center, which could be a bit tricky if he's faced by some cavalry archers, for example, soon. Let's see if that's going to be something that Vasikovska will be interested in. And actually it might be. So far he's going for normal archers as he's going into castle age, but already being prepared with the archer ranges that should be following into cavalry archers, or maybe even more crossbowmen, I'm not exactly sure. We'll see pretty soon, I guess. Already blue crossbowmen being ready to raid him, of course, and, well, otherwise not much interesting going on in his base, as of course he's just waiting for the castle age and open that he will survive long enough. In the meantime, though, Sampa is joining with some knights, so of course the time is kind of running out, and he definitely needs some kind of help, or it kind of help. These are from Mayans. So yeah, the pocket player is actually helping him with plume touches already, so he should be reasonably fine if he plays this correctly, especially since he does have the help of the hill on the right. Well, those two knights definitely looking to find a bit better spot on those archers, and since the castle has just hit for Vasikovska, we are looking it's going to be crossbowmen, not cavalry archers yet. So pretty much the same army as he's right now facing from the opposing player from Yupe, who is still Mongols, but yeah, doesn't really matter all that much. It's going to be crossbowmen against crossbowmen with some knights and other plume touches into the mix, but of course this should be having
the biggest difference right now is that the Mayans player doesn't have even fletching, while the Yupe got +2 on his 6 bows. So he can't basically kill that army right now with plumets. He can just run, lure him away.
Well, right now at least Vasikovska is having basically the same upgrades as the blue player, so he can basically pick them off one by one, but unfortunately it's going to be quite costly, because those knights are not going to be easy to pick off, like at all, and they are probably going to be getting higher in numbers. So far I don't see all that many reinforcements, but they're already coming in, 3 extras. So definitely a lot more help will be needed for that, and they should be taking care of the hills in there, because without those, the archers might be kinda short-lived in here.
What's interesting that Elephantol, the Mongol player, is going forward with 2 mangonels and 5 monks now. He's booming with 3 TCs, and he's also putting some pressure with some mangonels and monk rush.
He's definitely feeling comfortable in his gameplay right now. He did place quite nicely the front TC at the bottom, next to Stone Mine. That will definitely help him secure a bit more of it once he advances into the next age and goes for the stunned Mango Dice. But in the meantime, well, let's have a look. This one Palisade could be tricky, as it will allow the army to come through without all that much of an opposition. And Rubenstock so far... yeah, he's having military buildings on the left, going for crossbowmen so far, and they are being sent, quite interestingly, into a pocket player, it seems like, into a green probably. And either he hasn't noticed yet that he's under attack, or he's not really caring all that much. It's not like he can do a whole lot with the crossbowmen against all that many mangonels, thinking that Elephantdog might be able to out-macro him. But really, he's sending all the units basically somewhere else and not really paying enough attention to his own base.
Just trapped like 7 villagers on Elephant's 4th TC. He stopped the TC from being built up.
That was nicely played. Well, that was pretty nice slaughter in there. A lot of skeletons. Actually, a whole lot more than I would be expecting. Like
yeah,
6
they were like trapped between the forest, stone mine, and the X-bows. So they died, all of them.
Well, he's actually already having 4 town centers, and he was going for 5th. Isn't that a bit greedy for Arabia?
Well, he looks like he decided to fully boom.
That's kinda curious, because I have seen some full booms before, for example from New Chapter, and it didn't really end well. They went for even 4 TCs and it backfired quite badly. And I'm not exactly sure if Arabia is the map to go for full-on boom, especially since he is under Parada trying to apply some pressure. But he was probably thinking that it's going to be enough, those mangolas with the bombs.
It is tricky, but he's putting some nice pressure on the Rubenstock. Meanwhile as well, he got those...
He got town center
7
down,
monks and 3 TCs, they already killed town center. And the Han player can't attack him, because he would get converted most likely.
Well, Elephantdog is right now at 74 villages because of those extra TCs, whereas his opponent is at 62. Vasikovska is having by far the least, 47. That's kind of curious. But he was raided quite a lot, so that was probably the reason, or rather, that's the reason for that. And, well, it's looking like that actually Rubenstock is going to be losing the main TC as well. It doesn't seem like that even the villagers should be repairing it fast enough, or rather, if one of those mangonels is targeted on the villages, that would be a whole lot better. Or if he even tried to convert them, as in the meantime there's a bit of a fight on the left between Duraznito's Pluntages on a hill against some knights from Sampa, and it seems like that really TICs are going for full-on offensive right now and hoping that it's going to be basically it for the game. I'm fairly certain
It looks
because
like Rubenstock underestimated a bit that push. Because those monks all got 30 HP. We made like a mangonel of his own. He could have stopped him from killing his TC, I believe.
oh, that was a shot there. He was trying to micro
nice.
with a crossbow and
He's cleaning up the fight, but the thing is, Mongols is still booming with now 5 TCs even, so he will be much faster than him than Rubenstock will ever be.
Rubenstock, he probably did have to recall basically all the army from the harassing of his opponent. I'm not exactly sure if that was an overreaction. If, especially with the help from Sampa with the knights, he probably needed just like half the army that he was sending there. As of course, when you are having so many crossbowmen, it's even harder to dodge actually the attacks from the mangonels, because yeah, you're just all over the place, even if you dodge. Exactly sure if the castle right on time. Right on time for Elephant Dog, and that's yet another pretty big problem for Rubenstock, and it's really looking like that those greedy TCs are going to be paying off, because the strategy was played quite well by Elephant Dog, and oh yeah, this is looking quite tough deal for Galilatico, aka Rubenstock, and not exactly sure what he can do right now with the crossbowmen, because they are going to be becoming quite obsolete very soon. On the left we are looking at Vasikovska going for a bit of raiding against the dual base of Sampa and Jupe, with Jupe losing quite a decent amount of crossbowmen, as he was unfortunately also fighting uphill. Cavalry archers from Vasikovska did have the advantage, but Jupe does have pretty decent amount of crossbowmen still inside his base, so he is probably just now turtling and hoping that he can boom a bit as well. He is at 70 villagers, not really a great number, but still pretty much the same as his opponent that is raiding him just now, but they are wide open in there, and unfortunately quite close to both of the gold mining operations for both Sampa and Jupe. Very good spot at all for them. With Duraznito going in with Pluntaches, and they are really liking the very big hill in there.
You could see some smart play by Vasikovska on the left side of the map. He already secured that trade route for Imperial Age with those palisade walls, and he will most likely stonewall it behind it pretty soon. So he basically already took control over one important part of the map, which is the corner for the potential trade route.
Yeah, that's definitely thinking ahead in there, expecting that the game will be going a bit longer, which is definitely understandable looking how it is going, as we are looking at Imperial Ages coming from both Rubenstock and Elephant Dog. So they seem to be having a pretty interesting 1v1 between themselves. And the economy is right now, of course, much better for Elephant Dog. He's at 125, whereas his opponent is at 88. So yeah, the economical advantage is starting to kick off for TICs, and they might be a bit more than Weljets actually were prepared to handle, as that will be pretty deadly, especially from the Mongolian player, of course. Probably going to be a bit of a switch, as Jupe together with Sampa will be having a bit of fun with Vasikovska, it's looking like. And nearing his base slowly but surely. But we are also looking at a relic being captured for Duraznito, as he was raiding with a few Pluntaches in there, and his castle is actually curiously positioned. It's very offensive for him, basically towards the middle of the map, and that basically tells you that he thinks about both the defense, but he wants to be as closest to opponent's bases as possible. So yeah, that should be working quite alright for him, as he's right now sending a lot of Pluntaches somewhere, probably to the left more, as he's seeing the opponents arriving at his teammate's base. And a lot of gold mines coming in So capture him.
He's trying to secure the middle spot of the map. Take over those hills in the middle. He's taking the extra resources right there, that extra stone, and he's slowly taking the map control, just like his ally in the left side made with the trade route. So they are slowly preparing for the full Imperial fight with full trade and slowly pushing them with map control.
Yeah, exactly looking like that, as we are looking at the right side at Elephant Dog, basically enlarging the walls, or sending them a bit forward, taking the stone walls in there, basically trying to secure as much of the map as humanly possible for them, already working at the bottom of Vasikovska on the stone wall, exactly as you predicted. So they are really thinking ahead, whereas the opponents, they are doing nothing like that, like literally nothing. So they might be surprised if the next attack is not going to go according to plan, because right now it's looking that Rubinstock is ready for an attack. He has a one trebuchet at least, and mix of plumed archers, or rather crossbowmen with eagle warriors, and he's going to be fighting against already a pretty decent army of Mangurais with some normal cap trams, but on top of that, 3 castles already, well almost 4, but 3 are forming basically some kind of defensive line in there, and that's going to be very hard to get through, even with the trebuchets that are right now getting ready for the Grey player. Imperial Age for Vasikovska, for Sampa as well. We are looking at Chain Bardin armor for Vasikovska, so he's going to be probably soon switching into... Also, I would be thinking about normal horses, just not the cavalry archers for the whole duration of the game. Right now he has actually got himself into a pretty bad place between the knights from the purple player and some arbalests already from UP. So yeah, definitely needs to be careful and needs reinforcements from the plumed archer. And well, even though he is on the cliff there, is actually this kind of cliff giving you advantage? I don't really think so, right?
You don't have the hill advantage, if that's what you ask.
Yeah, it's just basically an nicety of the map. Nothing really like that would be giving you advantage in the fight. So yep, maybe it almost seemed like Durazito might be thinking so, but it was just also maybe because of the positioning, because it was a pretty nice spot for him. As they are right now nearing and killing a lot of villages from the blue player. Oh well, that definitely wasn't good, as he was hoping to go for some of the gold mine in there, but that didn't really work out for him, and Jupe will have to drop a whole lot more castles if he wants to secure this gold mine on there.
Vasikovska is switching into paladins right now, while Jupe is going full arbalest with Mongol, which is definitely not ideal.
Yeah, that definitely isn't, and curiously enough, he isn't even having some extra upgrades. So, like for any other type of unit, so it's kinda curious. He's not going for extra castles, but finally Mangurais are coming up. Some of those, he's having 2 castles so far. Market being built inside his own base. That's a weird placement, but probably just want some upgrades, not exactly sure what's going to be happening from him. But yeah, the defense seems to be so far okay, but he should be really getting worried, because if you have a look on the minimap, you are just going to be seeing a whole lot of green trickling from the middle of the map into the left, and it's looking like the Duraznito is quite well set up with his economy of 139, and really, the echoes are a whole lot better for the ticks.
He definitely is, and he is still securing more and more of the map. He's making another very offensive castle in the middle of the map on a very great hill, and it will give them a nice advantage for the future fight.
That's definitely not bad at all. I was just looking on the right side, where actually Elephant Dog did manage to 2 castles. That's actually not bad against a Mongol for Rubinstock, so that was definitely nicely played. But he's right now pushing back into the opponent, and he probably won't be successful, because of course the Eagle Warriors are pretty decent units to get rid of, especially the siege rams that are right now coming on through castles. And with the extra support in fire of possibly even the town center and the 2 castles, it shouldn't be all that a good spot for Elephant Dog to go into the offensive, unless he does have... I'm thinking he could be really using some trebuchets, because the army of all the Eagle Warriors not going to be easy to get through with siege rams. Otherwise, on the left, exactly as we have seen a bit before, siege workshops coming up to supplement the castle. And this really is looking quite problematic, especially because Duraznito has found a way inside the Blues base. There was a cut 3 on the left, and he is right now going to be ravaging the economy. And since the economy wasn't as strong as the opponents to begin with for Weljet, you'll be really looking at pretty tough situation for them. And oh well, there are some pretty bad idols for Sampa next to Blue TC.
It's definitely tough for Yupa now. He's only 120 pop, and he will most likely lose a couple of more villagers, especially if Duraznito will find that left side of his base, which is completely open, all those farmers and woodcutters. And meanwhile, he's also losing his castles to Vasikovska Cavaliers. He only got 2 castles left with Mongol, and he's losing them now as well.
Yeah, with the support of the trebuchet in there, it's going to be reasonably easy, especially since Vasikovska is just now switching into Paladins, and he seems to be quite alright upgraded for him. So yeah, those Mangurais, even though he invested into elites already, are not going to be all that strong, and let's see if maybe Paladins from Sampa could be somehow changing the game, but I'm not really thinking so, because we are looking at pretty huge influx of green units into the middle of the map, and he is just moving together with the buildings, and yet another aggressive castle on a hill, and it doesn't seem like that Weljet will be having enough to actually defend against this. This is really well played, and quite bad aggression from the opponents. On the right side, looking at the battlefield between Rubenstock and Elephant-Talk, we are looking at pretty much a stalled situation, but maybe only because Sampa sent quite a decent amount of Paladins to help his teammate. So they are definitely turning the battle in there, but he probably should be concentrating a bit more on helping himself, because he will need everything that he can get against all those plumed archers coming in from Duraznito, and I'm kinda thinking it's going to be just a question of time before he's ready for maybe switching into barracks and such, and we are already seeing the GGs, and it's going to be the first game coming for TICs in a round 1 matchup between those two guns. So that was a pretty composed performance from TICs, I have to say. They definitely did have the plan, they were thinking ahead all the time, with securing the trade route even before they needed it. And well, the push.
Yeah, very well played by the TIC clan. They worked very well as a team, they helped each other out. They were slowly taking the map control advantage, and they did the damage on the Mongol player, especially. While the Weljet team let the other Mongol completely free boom, which is always dangerous.
Yep, that was exactly that. So, going to have a look at the achievements as they are already starting with the game. Well, probably not going to be seeing anything all that surprising. Duraznito, well, basically all 3 TICs are having almost the same score. They're all 3 pretty good, so yeah, not any reason why that shouldn't be the case. Maybe would be expecting a bit higher score from Elephant-Talk because of this early and strong booming, but didn't really work out that way for him. And well, GG.